Do any of you think you need a little smoothing out? I love that song because I know the whole idea is to smooth out the rough parts of life. And often at times that happens in relationships. We get smooth. Our rough spots get smoothed out if we work with it. But we smooth ourselves out in so many beautiful ways, and that's part of what God's grace does. And Mary, you did a beautiful job of opening the door to what grace is. I want to start with just a few words by Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell said, "The world is a mess." It's always been a mess. It always will be a mess. That's the way we learn and we grow and we become, because things are messy. And we get to clean them up and smooth ourselves out. And then we get to grow and become better, the better version of ourselves. And he goes on to say, our job is to straighten out our own lives. And that's what we can do for ourselves and for everybody else. We can make it smoother. So as Mary had mentioned, God's grace is not something we earn or we beg for or we plead for. The grace of God, the smoothness and peace of that. It's something that's already here. It's the givingness of Spirit that's planted all God's goodness, all Spirit's goodness, all creativity and love and peace and harmony and joy and beauty and within us. So it's not something we need to get. It's something we need to recognize and use. And the more we use the grace within us, the more beautiful our lives will be, and the more beautiful we will be to the world. This happens to be the month of Easter month. And I don't know your relationship to Jesus and the Easter story or any of that, but Easter is really a metaphysical and universal message about renewal, moving from limitation to liberation, from darkness to light, and it's opening to God's grace, God's goodness. So I want to use this month to really take the teachings of Jesus and really up-level them. I believe, as much as I love Jesus and Jesus' message, I believe that Jesus' message has been tainted over time. And I really think that if he were here right now, he'd be a bit appalled how his name has been used for division, to create wars, to divide people, for intolerance and hatred. That's not the message I know from him. I know one message, actually two. I know Jesus' message is love. Love God with all your heart and soul and everything else, and love one another with all your heart and soul and everything else. Love. And he taught to teach us how to lift ourselves up to that consciousness of God, to that consciousness of goodness. Now, if you think about why we're not there and why the message has been tainted, it's because there's a veil of illusion that affects humanity. It's not just some people, it's just all of us. And it's our humanity that does it. We have these huge spirits that fill with all those things of grace I said, stuffed into this little body. And this body tries to learn and grow through that. So we have a veil of illusion, which is about division and separation. We're part of one human family. We're all descendants from the same spiritual source. Yet we forget that, and we start separating and dividing and limiting things, and we need to grow together to let go of those false beliefs of separation. We need to remember that the prison we feel we might be in, the box we might feel we're in, is self-created. My good old 14th century mystic boyfriend Rumi says, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open?" Meaning we just have to open our minds and our hearts to something bigger and greater and something more. We have to awaken to that grace that's within us. And it may come as a surprise. You know, last night, or yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, Kirk and I went to a play. And we love the theater. I mean, we've been to theaters in Orange County and Los Angeles and on Broadway and in London. And I mean, we haven't traveled or done as much as we would like, but we've done it all over, community theater everywhere. We love plays. Last night, I went to the best play I've ever been to. brought up a little bit. Anyway, best play I've ever been to. I don't think you'll know any of the actors because they're 3rd and 4th graders. It brought my family back together. Kirk and I were really involved. I had a close family, my sister, her 3 girls. Kirk, because there was no other male in the family, no other dad in the family, he put together every toy for those girls, every bike, every Barbie house. He put together everything. And we'd celebrate birthdays and Christmas and Easter and everything we'd celebrate together. But you know, things change. I'm actually closer in age to my oldest niece than I am to my sister. There's a 11-year difference, but things change. And when we lost our daughter and lost our parents, things changed. And they weren't pretty when they changed. And it was sad. And I didn't just lose my sister, I lost my 3 nieces. And it was very sad, and so did Deanna. So it's been Kirk, me, and Deanna for all this time. And we had a little 50th anniversary party a couple months ago, and Deanna invited Katie and her husband, and they just lost their son, their oldest son. And when we heard that, it happened that Deanna and I were together, and we rushed off to Katie's house in Irvine. And we sat there with her and just cried. And she remembered how we'd gotten treated in our loss, and it was very sad and brought us together. So we found out that she works very hard in Tustin School District, and because she'd done acting, and we'd see her on commercials and doing different things all the time, now she's a teacher, that she created this theater arts program. It was amazing. They'd paid to get the lights, the microphones for the kids. And the only thing they required, the kids had to audition, of course. None of them were professional, but their parents had to be willing to contribute in some way and be a part of it. Oh my gosh, they were so cute. The 3rd grader, what was his name, Kirk? Marty, the zebra. He's about this big. And he sang songs like you couldn't even imagine. And he said these giant words and remembered the whole thing. And it was the most wonderful. Naya sat there, still too, and she's just glued to watching all the kids. And I'm up there singing. It was the best experience, and it brought the family back. Now, not all of it, but we're never going to let it separate again. Sometimes it takes real hardship and loss and trouble. But by the grace of God, and if we do our part, and that's what it is, we have to step up to do our part. Not everything can be fixed in the way you'd like it to be. Everything can be fixed here and here. But we need to awaken that goodness in us and step up. Now let me tell you something about Jesus. You know, we might hear it a little differently, but Jesus didn't see sinners. He saw souls that needed to be awakened. That's why he didn't judge. That's why he forgave, because he wanted to do things in a better way. And so that's part of us. I was listening to, Barbara Taylor had taught for us a class, or long class that she taught during businesses about crucial conversations. And she did that for us here at the center with our staff about years ago, but I've never forgotten it because it's so potent. And I believe if you and I want to be more graceful, wonderful people, we have to change everybody's social skills. And to have healthy relationships, we need to improve our ability to see others so they can feel seen, heard, respected, and understood. You know, respect and dignity are 2 things that we've lost a lot of in this society. We need to step up and do our part to make it better. And I thought about some of the things you taught, Barbara, to bring people together. And it's not making people think the way you think. It's about being respectful that we are all different, and that's what's so glorious about us. We're not the same. How boring it would be if we were all the same. So one thing you need to do, anybody who wants to be better, it starts with being willing to have eye contact with people. Now, I know for some people it's really hard and you can't do that, and I get it, but eye contact, simply to let people know they matter. You care. It's that simple step number 1. This can be somebody in a grocery line. You don't have to say a word to let people know they're seen. Start there. And number 2, be curious about people. If you have a little more intimate connection, be curious. You don't have to understand everything they say, but, well, tell me more about that. I'm interested in you. I want to know who you are and what you think and what you do. This doesn't fit all the time, but just a little bit. Be curious. And tell me more is one line I say all the time, Barbara, and that's from that. Just tell me more. Questioning is so important, but you don't always have the right questions. I know. Tell me more. And listen loudly. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, good job. Uh-huh. Right. Mm-hmm. Thumbs up. Because there's not one single person in here or anywhere. You therapists that are here, you know. That doesn't feel lonely at times, lost, needing help. We can do our part. We don't need great skills. We just need to know we care. And we need to do that. So before you do that, we need to strengthen ourselves. And these are a few things I just picked up, and I'd like to share them. And I knew that was, sorry. I knew it was going to hit my necklace. Through stillness. And wasn't that opening song just amazing? Yes. We need to be still and step back from the noise of the world. And just to think of that song we sing here and just that line from the Bible, be still and know that I am God. And I know that God and grace both equal love. So be still and know that I am love. Be still and know that I am peace. Whatever you need at that moment to be more available to yourself and others. And then forgiveness, letting go of the past hurts. Just letting go so they don't wait on you. And I love this line. And I don't know if anybody would guess who this comes from, but I'm going to say it first and then you can guess. There'll be somebody here. But forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Does anybody know who said that? Mark Twain. Isn't that cool? And then there was another one here. It's about seeing the divine, the good, the love, the possibility, the potentiality, whatever you want to say, in everyone. Not just some, but in everyone. If you cannot see God in all, you cannot see God at all. And that was a name, I don't usually write down gurus and things, but this is Guru Nanak, and that's the founder of the Sikh tradition. And if you know any Sikhism at all, they are the kindest, most wonderful people, right, Dr. Jim? We know from some interfaith things we did, wonderful. And then through trust. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And you know who that's, Martin Luther King. But I added one to that. Play. If you want to be a good person, you have to play. Whether it's bocce ball, pickleball, bunco, kings in a corner, whatever we do. I mean, the whole thing, you got to play. Because if you've lost your sense of center, get out of yourself, you know? Have some fun. And then, you know, we go out there and look at the world and things feel divided and pessimistic and people feel insecure and angry. But let me tell you something. The first page of a book that Ernest Holmes wrote, this thing called Life, it was published in 1943 in the midst of World War II. And the first line is, the world is crying out for God. And it says, we are lost in vast disillusionment and division. Our answers lie not in God's willingness, but our willingness to accept, to recognize the divine presence as the reality of life, and to recognize the power within us is like a sleeping giant, which must be awakened so it may spring into action. Spring into action. And the good news I want to end with right now, we have really good news, because in our country, and I'm sure in the world, but just our country, we have more people, more than 80% of the people believe in God than anything else. 80% plus. And that's a God, a monotheistic God, so it would be Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, and that's the number one. And if we turn to that power first, we're in luck. So just be with me right now and just breathe in that faith that grace, that love, because love is a litmus test on how we're doing in the world, how much we can love and be loved. We just, right now, so say this, I am the light of the world. I give and share my love freely. I know that I matter. And I know that you do too. Together, we can make a huge difference. And so it is. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you.